January 5th, 2022. Halfcast 217, episode 217. Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. An evening of reflection. Shall we? Man held in Las Vegas, severed head case, loses bid for bail. Sir, we found a whole head in your vehicle after we chased you down. And you want bail? A 57-year-old ex-felon who was found in Las Vegas with a severed head and body parts in his allegedly stolen vehicle has lost his bid to get out of jail while facing a murder charge. Eric Holland's public defender, David Westbrook, which is a problem if you have a public defender in a murder case in the first place. You're already in trouble just for that alone. Argued in court Tuesday that his client might have been a hapless car thief who just picked the wrong car, and the prosecution had to prove that not only there was a body in the car, but that he knew it was there and that he actually caused the death. For all we know, those officers planted that severed head on my client, who just so happens to have a rap sheet that goes back 40 years. Justice of the Peace, Harmony Letigia, responded with a terse order, keeping Holland behind bars. It's not looking so good for the defense already, at least until a preliminary hearing of more evidence in the case scheduled for January 27th. Proof is evident, and the presumption is great that Mr. Holland committed murder. The judge said Holland was arrested December 23rd while driving a vehicle with the dismembered remains of a man later identified as Richard P. Miller, 65, of Las Vegas. The Clark County coroner said Miller died December 23rd from multiple gunshot wounds and ruled the case a homicide. In court, he conceded that his client was caught while running from police, but challenged police searches of coolers found tape closed in the bed of the 2007 Chevrolet Avalanche that Holland was found driving. So if we don't know anything else about how this works, we know that when you run from the police, it makes you look like you have something to hide. It makes you look guilty. Prosecutor Giancarlo Pesci showed photos to the judge of Miller's head and questioned two police detectives who testified that along with 3 handguns, police found receipts for a power saw, construction-grade plastic bags, and heavy-duty tape among Holland's possession. You know, the things that people use to get rid of bodies. Pesci has said Holland had prior felony and federal criminal convictions dating to the 1980s in states including California, Texas, and Nevada under names including Eric John Holland and Eric Allen Holland. Because he switched trucks in the middle of running from the police outside court, Westbrook told reporters that prosecutors had yet to show that Holland knew when fled from police in an allegedly stolen 2018 Toyota Tundra and then switched vehicles to the Avalanche, that he had knowledge of what was in the Avalanche and that he intentionally led police to the evidence. Why would he do that? The defense attorney asked. Why would your defendant get caught with tools that are used for dismembering body parts along with the body? I mean, one of them alone, either one is hard to explain, but both of them together are impossible. New Jersey ShopRite worker stabbed co-worker with biggest knife in the deli. A New Jersey ShopRite employee allegedly stabbed their co-worker half a dozen times with the largest knife in the deli while screaming, "You will finally leave me alone today." A little bit of workplace justice. Melissa Prince, 57, allegedly knifed the veteran employee who has not been named around 3:45 p.m. on Sunday until an employee at the Clark grocery store's meat department sprinted up to restrain her. The attack was reportedly the result of a years-long feud between the co-workers, which finally became violent. Price now faces charges of first-degree attempted murder, second-degree aggravated assault, third-degree possession of a weapon for unlawful purpose, and fourth-degree possession of a weapon, according to the Clark Police Department. The stabbing happened in front of customers, but no one assisted immediately because everyone was shocked. An employee told, "It's not funny. It was terrible." Pamela Gennaro, who witnessed the attack, wrote on Facebook, "It was very hard to be there while people were yelling to call 911 and for everything that followed. That poor person, very sad situation and very disturbing." The victim, who had worked at ShopRite for 24 years, is in critical but stable condition at University Hospital in Newark, the department wrote in a press release. The attack was the culmination of a years-long dispute between the two employees, their coworkers said. The victim and the suspect have had a long dispute that was known to management, and every employee knew that the pair had issues with each other. An employee anonymously explained to the outlet, "If you know that they're going at it like that, why didn't you switch them to different departments? Okay, you can't switch them to different departments. That's cool. Put them on different shifts. Separate them." Clark Mayor Sal Bonacorso also acknowledged their standing feud, telling New Jersey 101.5 that their long simmering dispute finally boiled over. "You're the fucking mayor. The whole town knew these people were beefing with each other all the way up to the mayor's office, and nobody did nothing." Other employees and an off duty state trooper rushed to help the victim after Prince had been subdued. "We are still learning more about Sunday's incident and cooperating fully with law enforcement on their investigation," ShopRite spokeswoman Maureen Gillespie said. People were sitting there entertained by it and laughing, thinking it was funny and wondering how it was going to play out, standing around. This is how it played out from nobody doing anything. Three people accused of stealing thousands of Amazon packages and massive Oklahoma theft ring. They face 15 counts of felony possession of stolen property and embezzlement, the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office said in a press release. More charges will likely be filed, authorities said. Nearly 600 packages that the group is accused of stealing were supposed to have been delivered by Christmas, but were discovered on New Year's Eve roughly 30 miles northeast of Oklahoma City. Two of the accused were described as contract drivers for Amazon. The truck used by one of them belonged to the third person, who also faces charges of possession of methamphetamines. The sheriff's office said all stories that make no sense make perfect sense when you throw meth in the picture. Like, oh, that's why. Investigators traced the stolen packages to the group after finding a garbage bag at the dump site with an address and the receipt from a local store, authorities said. Way to cover your tracks. Inside a home a few miles from the site, authorities found thousands of undelivered packages, some of which were still wrapped on pallets. Packages were stored throughout the home in almost every room and filled the storm shelter, the release said. The packages have been returned to Amazon and will be redelivered on Monday, the sheriff's office said. Tracking information showed that the items left an Amazon location and were supposed to have been taken to a U.S. Postal Service facility for delivery. Someone had removed the items they wanted and discarded the rest. Cherry picking, the sheriff's office said on Facebook. Apparently, the thief isn't much of a reader. The books that were being delivered were left behind. The post added, "If you're missing a package, please don't call us. We are working with the USPS and have reached out to Amazon, so someone should contact you soon." So that family member that you think that they aren't shit for not sending you anything for Christmas and you thought they were lying, they weren't lying. A statement Wednesday, an Amazon spokeswoman thanked the sheriff's office and told customers to report delays to the company. There has never been a better time to set your email to out of office than now. Former psychologist accused of killing wife with antifreeze pleads guilty to lesser manslaughter charge. A former psychologist accused of killing his wife with a cocktail of opioids and antifreeze and then attempting to disguise it as a suicide in a bid to cash in on her life insurance policy has pleaded guilty to manslaughter in an effort to avoid life in prison. Dr. Gregory Dennis had been facing homicide charges in connections with the death of his 48-year-old wife, Susan Winters, a Las Vegas area judge who was discovered dead inside her home back in 2015. While the case appeared poised to go to trial, it faced a series of roadblocks and delays over the years, including the global health pandemic. During a court appearance on Tuesday, Dennis entered what is called an Alfred plea, a deal that allows him to acknowledge prosecutors have enough evidence to convict, but does not require him to admit guilt. As part of the agreement, he is facing between 3 and 10 years behind bars. That's all for intentionally poisoning your wife? Oh, the sanctity of a marriage doesn't really go that far nowadays, does it? Winter's death was initially declared a suicide, but authorities later determined her husband had a financial motive and ultimately misled authorities amid their investigation. Okay, so let me get this straight. Your wife was suicidal, but you being a psychologist, you never noticed any signs of her being suicidal until you just found her dead, right? Dennis at one point told officers he believed his wife intentionally ingested antifreeze because he discovered a series of internet searches she supposedly conducted about antifreeze poisoning. In reality, it was Dennis himself who carried out the internet search. That's why you got to use DuckDuckGo, baby, according to an arrest report obtained by the Las Vegas Review Journal. What's more, the couple was on the verge of separation at the time, thanks in part to Dennis's cocaine addiction, cocaine, and the strain it placed on their finances. Prosecutor Mark DiGiacomo on Tuesday noted the ex-psychologist stood to inherit $2 million in the wake of his wife's death, including a $1 million payout from her life insurance policy. Authorities suspected he planned to use the funds to pay off his drug debts. How do you rack up that much cocaine debt and don't end up chopped up in the back of somebody's 2007 Chevrolet Avalanche? I'm just saying. Giacomo added Dennis waited for her to stop breathing before calling 911. She was later pronounced dead at a hospital after her husband issued a do not resuscitate order. Despite the agreement, a judge will ultimately be the one to decide Dennis's jail time. If they do not accept the predetermined 3 to 10 year sentence, Dennis will be allowed to withdraw his plea and the case will go to trial. So for someone to be a psychologist and not have no record of their wife being suicidal or depressed and they just poison themselves out of the blue, that's really suspect. Fun show. Fun show. Fun show. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Adios.